This morning, President Trump still weighing military action against Iran as a top Iranian official claims the death toll is fake, blaming all the tensions on one of America's biggest allies.
You are saying that all of this is because you're not in control of your country and foreign elements are killing people inside your country?
No, I'm telling you that it was a fighting between our security forces and terrorist elements who had a plan to create a big number of killings in order to provoke President Trump to enter into this conflict and start a new war against Iran. And that was exactly an Israeli plot.
Meanwhile, Iran is threatening to assassinate our president, showing a picture of him being shot in 2024. He says this time we won't miss. Former Deputy National Security Advisor KT McFarland joins us now. So you saw the foreign minister last night. You saw that they now reopened their airspace, and they didn't hang the 26-year-old. But I also heard from Mike Allen earlier that he believes the protests have dissipated somewhat. What do you think, KT?
You know, we don't really know, right? Because the regime has shut down the internet. We're not sure what we're getting out. Starlink, thanks to Elon Musk, has gone in. But when President Trump said yesterday that the executions have stopped, I think President Trump's got the best intelligence of anybody. So if he's saying that, I've got to assume that that's right. Now, as far as the dissipation of the demonstrations countrywide, the regime hasn't solved the problem. The problem is an economic problem. It's inflation, it's mass, incompetence of running of the economy. So those demonstrations will come back again unless the economy is fixed.
Security forces were firing directly into the crowds of protesters in at least 6 different cities. And we know there were riots in 27 separate provinces. All in the beginning, they even admit it was because in Tehran, there's no water, there's ridiculously high inflation, and they know billions of dollars is going to Hezbollah and millions is going to Hamas. So your advice to this administration is don't do what Obama did. What did Obama and Biden do, and what should Trump make sure not to do?
Okay, so there were 2 mistakes made, and President Trump's learned from them. In the Bush administration, they toppled the regime, disbanded the army in Afghanistan and Iraq, and what happened? An occupation, 20-year forever war. We don't want to do that again. On the other hand, President Obama encouraged the Arab Spring, toppling of the dictators all across the region, and then he walked away. He just sort of assumed democracy and freedom and stability would ensue immediately. President Trump's learned those lessons. That's why I think the thing he's doing in Venezuela, that should be the prototype of how he's going to handle all of these things. He's gotten rid of the bad guy, and then he's also working with the country, with the leaders in place, to do what he wants them to do. And he's using the economic lever. In the case of Venezuela, the oil.
Well, you can't do the same thing because I don't think they're going to go grab the Ayatollah. He'll be a handful to keep in captivity or in Brooklyn prison. Let's talk about Greenland. Yesterday, there was a meeting between the Danes and the U.S., high-ranking officials. Nobody, they agreed to agree on nothing, it seems. Here's the Danish foreign minister, Rasmussen, and President Trump yesterday.
It's clear that the president has this wish of conquering over Greenland. We made it very, very clear that this is not in the interest of the kingdom.
If we don't go in, Russia's going to go in and China's going to go in. And there's not a thing that Denmark can do about it, but we can do everything about it.
But the Germans are sending troops, so are France and maybe the UK. Really?
Look, at the end of the day, we're going to get control of Greenland. Why? Because, as President Trump says, the Chinese want it. And there's a sense of urgency because the Chinese are working very quickly and very fast to try to develop Greenland, to try to develop Greenland's natural resources, to have a presence on the ground in Greenland. If you want to know what the real issue is, take a globe and turn it on its side so that the Arctic is your main focus. And you see that Greenland is essential to controlling all of the Atlantic, the maritime trade route that might happen from the Atlantic to the Arctic, to the Europe, and to Asia. It's essential that it's in our hands and it's not in China's hands.
KT, I hear you, but maybe there's a deal to be done here where they handle the social things, we get the rare earth, expand our military base, and have a spirit of cooperation between them. This way we don't have to pay for all the infrastructure of Greenland. And being that Denmark are such great allies, don't you think this has so much potential for a deal?
Yeah, I do. And we're already halfway there. I mean, we've been trying to buy Greenland since Abraham Lincoln. We already have military bases there. It's a matter of money and who's going to develop Greenland. And as long as it's not the Chinese, as long as it's us working with our NATO allies, you know, Donald Trump is a deal guy. He'll figure out the right deal. He'll probably figure out how to have companies invest in Greenland so that the United States doesn't have to pay for it. But I think money changes hands at the end of the day, and the United States takes the leadership role permanently in Greenland.
This is an exciting time for foreign affairs experts like you, KT. Thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Want even more Fox News on YouTube? Become a Fox News Patriot today. Click join to find out how.